Hello my friends and welcome to the channel. I wanted this to be a supplementary to my new players guide, just to cover off the subject of shards. Now in the beginner series, the new player guide series, we're using the monk, the squire, the huntress and the apprentice. Now as we progress and we're gaining experience, we're in campaign mode on hard on that guide, and that does really get you used to the difficulty that you will face after the campaign in what's called chaos mode. That's really the end game content, the real meat of the game. Now to succeed there, you're gonna need shards on your various relics. So relics are the things we apply to the defensive towers, auras, etc. And indeed some weapons shards can apply there as well. So I just wanted to mention shards and just give you some advice, and you want to probably be doing this in the interim between the new player guide episodes, which are weekly on a Friday evening. So if you can, experiment with what I'm about to show you, and you can work your way towards getting the shards that will help you really progress into chaos mode and be successful there. So here with our monk, what I've done here is I've loaded up some of my main game characters, the equivalent monk, squire, etc., just to show you the shards they have. So if I press information here on the monk, now this monk, now some people, as you progress, you want to create multiple instances of different characters because you may want to specialize in a certain attribute, such as a DPS hero, attack, or a defensive hero, and even indeed there on certain defenses. So you'll see here I've got this guy called Zen of Zap, and he specializes really in the lightning strikes aura, and he's got the boost aura as well. I've got another two monks, actually, one specialising in Sky Guard and one beginning to specialise in Flame Aura, but that's more advanced stuff. So sticking to the shards, if I click on the Lightning Strikes Aura, and I'll talk about the shards we've got on here. So over on the left here there is Destruction, and you see there it increases the defence power of that affected tower, in this guy's by 42%. Now you see the 20 of 20 underneath the shard image there. This shard has been, like all shards and relics, can be upgraded, and this one, in fact, you see the gold cornering and a border around this shard. This has been what's called gilded. So typically shards will have maybe an upgrade potential of up to 16, but you can upgrade it beyond, again, more advanced stuff. But just sticking to the basic shard itself of Destruction, well worth having. That increases your defense power a lot. Another key one to get is defense rate, and you'll have to ignore this one. Mass Destruction is similar to Destruction, but it's gold, and you can only actually earn them on what's called the Mastery mode, which is really tough. Probably the toughest mode in Dungeon Defenders. But anyway, the two key ones for lightning strikes may be Destruction and defense rates. You can get others which may be beneficial. Moving over to a squire, if I go say to the ballista, which we have been using quite a lot, there's defense rate again, and what that does is that increases the attack rate, so how frequently it fires, how fast it fires, of the affected tower. That's been upgraded to 12 of 12, so that's increasing it by 33%. But even if you get the shard at its base level, it's still a good one to have on your ballista. And there's some more advanced ones, specialising for the ballista, which is Puncturing Bolts, can now pierce an additional 4 targets over and above its base. I think it's 6. And Splody Harpoon. The ballista projectiles have a 30% chance to detonate on each target hit, dealing 800% of the ballista's defense power stat as extra damage in a small area. So you can see the benefit of having shards perhaps. On things like your walls, your spike blockades, good one to have is fortification. You see that increases the defense health, and of course your walls are all about holding back the enemy onslaught rather than aggressive attack. However, the spike blockade has spikes, as the name suggests, and it will attack melee, do damage to melee attackers rather. So I've just slapped on these two. Defense critical strike increases the defense crit chance, and critical damage. When the crit chance hits, it'll do more crit damage. I've not upgraded them, but there you go. And this isn't actually my squire that specialises in walls. He specialises in ballista and cannonball. So let's look at the cannonball. So we've got defense rate again, makes the cannonball fire faster, and one called deadly strikes, which is well worth having on several of your defences. That increases the range of the affected tower. Again, that's gilded, so you'll have to forgive that this is a bit more exceptional than the base level one. And then something called heavy cannonball. So the cannonball tower has a 15% chance to spawn a rolling cannonball that pierces up to 10 targets, dealing 1150% defense power as damage. So unlike the regular cannonball, it will fire most of the time. That just hits a single target. The rolling cannonball will pierce and do a lot of extra damage. Switching over to Daisy. Daisy is really my DPS hero, but she does have a decent explosive trap. And on there, you see we've got deadly strikes to increase its effective range. Defense rate, again, you see the recurring theme here. And something that's specialist for the relic for the huntress is fire for effect. So your explosive trap has a 45% chance, once it's upgraded of course to 20/20, to detonate twice without consuming an additional charge. And then if we switch over to the apprentice, on the flamethrower tower we've got a specialist one called Empowered Flame. If upgraded, the percent chances will increase here, but that's at its base 0 level, you see. But the tower has a 1% chance to hit the target again for 55% damage of its initial hit. So it's like a second hit all in one go. You've got defense critical damage, and there's that destruction again. I don't really use Arcane Barrier, but Earth Shatter Tower is a good one to have. And we've got a specialist one for that tower called Earth Toss. That will have a 52% chance at this upgrade level to knock targets into the air, and gains an extra damage radius of 160 units. And it's got critical damage. If I had another defense rate, I would probably put that on there to speed it up as well, so it fires more frequently. Or destruction, you can sort of play around with the mixture to see what's most effective for you. Now the question is, how do we get these shards? In the early years of the game, you only had the option to grind, as we call it, play again levels to get the shards. If you notice here, destruction, you see the top left corner, it says 1 in Roman numerals. That means Chaos Tier 1. That is a Chaos Tier 1 level shard, which means it will only have a chance of dropping in a level Chaos 1 map, difficulty level on a map. Defense rate, Chaos level 4. Deadly strikes, Chaos level 3. Heavy cannonball, Chaos level 5, etc. So let's say you wanted heavy cannonball. Back in the day, you would have to go to a Chaos level 5 difficulty map or above and just replay those maps again and again, because shards, there's many in that tier as C5 for short, Chaos 5. There are many shards in that, and indeed on any given map of a given difficulty, what will happen is shards can drop of that tier or below. So you do have a chance of a shard drop, but it could be from Chaos Tier 1, 2, 3, 4 or 5 if you're playing a C5 map. If you wanted defense rate, you'd have to play a C4 or above to have a chance of that one dropping. Deadly strikes, C3. Hopefully you get the idea. So you could waste or some value it, but you could waste hundreds of hours grinding those maps just to have that percentage chance of that particular shard dropping. So in last couple of years, I would guess, the devs have realised that that grind is arduous and not fun. So what they introduced, if you go to your options, you've got the shard shop. So now you can buy shards with your currency being either your medals or the blue gems. Now, I wouldn't use the blue gems because that costs you real money in the real world to buy those gems. Medals, however, you can earn. In fact, you've been earning those if you've been playing through the new player guide. As you play maps, you gain experience. If you beat the map, you are rewarded with maybe 3 defense medals as part of your reward. So on the summary screen you'll see how many you get, but 3 doesn't really cut it. If you look at, for example, if we look at Chaos 1 and we look for destruction, if we click on this, we see it would cost 1,000 defense medals. We'll ignore this, I don't want you paying real money for this game. So defense medals are the ones you can earn. Now at a rate of 3, 4 perhaps per map, that's going to take a long time, yeah? You do have this at the top of each. These are the different shard tiers, chaos level tiers that you can buy. They all cost the same. However, at each tier you'll see a shard pack, which is a pack containing 5 random shards from this tier. So you see this tier has 33 shards in it. So if you get 5, you might get the ones you want, you might not. Now the benefit of this one is it costs 500 shards. Might be worth you doing, it's up to you. If you want to target one, it's going to cost 1,000, alright? So how are you going to get a decent accumulation of medals? The answer to that is the daily and weekly missions on a computer. If you press the J key, here you have the bonus mission at the top, which is a weekly mission. It's got 4 days remaining to be valid, and that would reward you 600 medals, defense medals. Now these tend to be related to the incursion maps, which are a bit more advanced than we are for the new beginners level, but you do have, and it's a bit random, but let's say this one, for example, win 2 maps. That can be any 2 maps. Or this one, we've already been through Dragonfall. We started off at the gates of Dragonfall and then Dragonfall Bazaar. So you can see there, you need to do 2 maps. Progress is 0 of 2 done, but your reward would be 225 medals, and this one 300. So you could hopefully see how you can fairly quickly on a daily basis, if you look for your missions and there's any you can do. Sometimes ancient ruins, for example, might be locked behind a certain chaos level difficulty, as are incursions. Okay, so daily ones tend to be at the start of your life in this game, the ones you can do. So go for 2 wins on any map. So you can actually, that one combines with the other, so you could see how you go to your map selection, and if you go here now on campaign, remember, if you make it so it's on hard mode so you don't get the tutorial, but those missions were 2 maps in Dragonfall region, and the other one was just any 2 maps. So you can kill 2 birds with 1 stone. You can play this one and this one, or this one twice, it's up to you, and then you will get both those rewards of successfully completing both those daily missions, and you've got approximately 500 medals. Come back the next day, or indeed on the missions, you might have noticed this little symbol. If this isn't for you, as in ancient ruins are not maps you can tackle yet, try the reroll. Okay, now, so that's 2 maps. Now it's got 2 maps in the Dragonfall town and 2 maps in Dragonfall Castle. Dragonfall Castle will be things like the ramparts and the throne room, which we do cover in the upcoming, at this stage, the next video or 2 on the new player guide, but you could have a go at it. But you know, try this one. It's the same principle. You would cover off both these awards, and you should be able to cover off the. Although it says daily, once you start these, they will be there tomorrow, the day after, until you've done them. Only ones you haven't commenced will recycle into the next challenge. So that's how you would do it. You would go into your campaign on hard. You would go to click on it, Gates of Dragonfall, just replay that map, and then because you had a condition of doing it twice or 2 maps in that region, you could play it again, or for a bit of variety, preferably do Dragonfall Bazaar. You should find that you're well able to tackle those at this stage if you follow the new player guide, or indeed if you're fairly adept yourself. Get those medals and then come back to the Shard shop and go to Chaos 1. And well, you could either go to Chaos 1 and get Destruction first, or I would possibly suggest in Chaos 3 you get Deadly Strikes, which increases the range, or Chaos 4 and get yourself Defense Rate. So be doing this in between sessions on the new player guide, and get these 3 sort of core, and if you can get a fortification there on campaign standard level, get fortification for your barricades, your walls. But yeah, go through, do the daily missions, get yourself some of these shards, have a look at them, see what you think you might want on a given shard. This shard is for the hero character itself, the boots, that speeds up their movement across the map. The one shard I would look out for, and I'll just cover this, is if we go to the heroes, the one as I see is absolutely required going into Chaos Tier 1 and beyond is on a weapon. You need this one called Burning Strikes. So it's a Chaos 5 level. The reason I feel everybody needs that going into Chaos level is because, well, a couple of years ago they introduced a new map, a new character. The boss character was called the Draken Lord. And when he appears, it's very hard to damage him unless you've got Burning Strikes, and preferably on your ranged character. So a weapon and a firing arrows, of course. What that does, that'll pierce he has a big shield that surrounds him which freezes defences in his path and you if you go near it. So Burning Strikes bypasses his shield, starts doing him damage, and it needs that fire damage to really hurt him. Now, since they introduced him, he used to only appear at whatever map tier that was, C4 perhaps, but they've since updated it so he can appear in Chaos level 1 and above. So you don't get caught out. Suggest you get Burning Strikes on your Huntress bow, for example. If you've got another ranged hero, put Burning Strikes on their weapon. So just give you an idea of the potential of a shard. So if I launch his Lightning Strikes, you see the range on it is large compared with the base monk that we're playing with on our playthrough guide, and that's doing a DPS of just over 2 million, which compares very favourably with the basic level 1. His boost aura is significantly larger as well, which really helps coverage of items, your defences in the range. The Squire's Cannon has some great range, and see how fast it fires, and that's doing a DPS of 1.24 million. It's firing every 0.63 seconds, so defense rate is doing a lot of that. The ballista, again it's got the range on it. That's got a maximum fire rate of 1 second, but you see it's got there an effect to explodey, etc. Huntress, we've got the defense explosive traps. Yeah, the yellow circle is the range, trigger range. So the blue circle is the damage radius. You're doing 500,000 DPS there. And our golden mage here. Got the Earth Shatter Tower, has a good range. And he's doing a decent amount of damage. So if you compare those sort of stats with the ones you've got, that I indeed had back in the day and working through with you now, you can see this one's not a very good example. Frostbite Tower, if it fires, a good one to have on there if I've got it. No, see, it's my other specialist. If I go to my this guy, maybe if I replace him with this guy and I put his Frostbite Tower down, the shards he's got, well, that's just an incidental beneficiary if you can cover it off. The Frostbite Tower passes 14% of its defense power stat to defenses within its frost aura, so he has that semicircle range. Got empowered frostbite, has a 25% chance to freeze the target for 4 seconds, and frosty bind, the frostbite slow strength is increased by 10%. There's another one which is called a Frosty Duet, I think, which will fire 2 streams, hit 2 targets at once. Anyway, hopefully that gives you an idea of the sort of shards you're going to want, at least to start with, for these base characters, and how to gain medals by doing the daily missions. You could try any of those missions if you want, but the ones you're likely to succeed at in the early stages are the ones in the maps you've already played through and have access to. But be doing this each day or every other day, accumulate some defense medals and spend them on targeted shards. Put them on your relics, put the burning strikes on one of your ranged heroes, the huntress, or indeed the mage. Mage fires, doesn't he? But I hope you enjoy that, and I hope you start reaping the rewards of using shards on your relics and heroes. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next video.